Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us tmosso@the1916company.com for all of your purchase pricing and availability questions relating to this watch. Today, something that I've long wished to review, launched back in 2021 from the Premier collection, the Breitling Premier B15 Duograph. It is a split-second chronograph with a coaxial rattrapante pusher located in the crown. And unlike the Navitimer rattrapante, which is a huge watch, this is actually quite wearable in steel at 42 millimeters in diameter. It's 15.7 millimeters thick, and then from lug tip to lug tip, 49.8 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters circumference, and it wears a hell of a lot better than that giant Navitimer rattrapante. This watch, low enough to fit under most cuffs, not because it's thin, but because its case flank is very sloped. And you can see from over the top, which always exaggerates the width of the watch, the lugs are not over the edge of my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. Down the barrel is a better angle. I believe you can wear this watch on a wrist my size or larger with great elegance. A beautiful watch. You could see from a distance, proportionally, it looks even better. Now, the watch includes a dramatic, large rectangular scale, symmetrical scale alligator leather strap, continuing Breitling's reputation for punching above its weight and strap quality. This looks like it belongs on a Patek Philippe. It's glossy. It's a honey brown color. It's really thick cut. You can see it has a sheer but folded edge, so it's not a cut edge. It's been folded over in vertical fashion with a monotone stitch. When you've got these large symmetrical rectangular scales, you're generally dealing with a very expensive cut of the beast. And then there's the thickness. On the bottom, you can see signal yellow calfskin, no crimping, no gouging, a brand new Breitling factory strap. 22 millimeter lug spacing. People ask me, what are these two numbers? One is the lug spacing and one is the size at the opposite end where it joins the clasp. Taking a quick look at the clasp, you can see twin trigger release, single fold, polished with a little bit of external satin brushing. It is a twin trigger release. So this being a fairly heavy watch, you want some security against accidental deployment, so a twin trigger system gives you that. Opening is conditional on both triggers being pressed. We have the Premier case design, which features these lovely mid-century modern strakes. And the idea here is to channel Breitling Premier watches of the 40s and 50s, and that's really what they're doing here, right down to the use of a bubble-like sapphire that looks exactly like a vintage plexi. And to clear the coaxial hands at center, it needs to be incredibly vaulted. We're not in Corum bubble territory, but this is circus camber and a very expensive sapphire. You'll also note that we have a little bit of an inward step to the bezel to visually thin the watch out, and then the lug bevel, it's sort of a soft bevel, but it expands and then it wraps around the edge of the lugs. It really looks great. Detail is excellent. You can see that the chronograph pushers, which are vintage and rectangular, they have facets with alternating polish and satin. Real great attention to detail. No date dial. A lot of people are going to love that, but they're also going to mistake this for some version of the pistachio, the burgundy, the champagne dial. This is a split-second chronograph. It is bigger than those. At 42 millimeters, we've got the tachymeter on the dial, which is a feature you generally see on watches made before 1960. After that, with a sports watch, you tend to see the tachymeter on the bezel. We've also got some of those mid-century long-distance phone call billing marks. Back when long-distance phone calls were expensive, they were billed typically across the Atlantic in 3-minute increments, so we have 3, 6, and 9 minutes on the chronograph register. Blue metallic sunburst, applique numerals, applique logo, sunken sub-registers with a twin register logo to give it a vintage look. We've got these lovely syringe-style hour and minute hands, and then lancet-style counterweighted chronograph seconds hands. You could see both of them just like that, but they have two different shaped counterweights. One is an alpha and one is a little bob or a ring. And then we've got concentric patterns inside of the sunken sub-registers. The watch does feature hacking or stop seconds. And if you're wondering, why do I need these 2 seconds hands? Well, you can gauge whether, for example, 2 concurrent events include waxing or waning intervals. Think cars or runners around a course. There is some loom here. Not a lot, but some. That's consistent with the Premier. You may be surprised the watch that has vintage cues and dress watch accents would also be 100 meters water resistant, but it is. Put it on a different strap, you could swim with this. Now on the back you can see caliber B15, which is based on the B03, which is based on the B01. So this is basically a decapitated automatic. It is a column wheel vertical clutch system, which means the column wheel makes for very crisp function cycling. It's a traditional way of building a chronograph. And then the vertical clutch means that there's no jump, stagger, or extraneous motion to the seconds hand when you start it up. That's the advantage of a vertical clutch. Another advantage of a vertical clutch is that you can leave the chronograph running full-time without any hazard to the watch. A vertical clutch takes the wear and tear that you get with a lateral clutch or an oscillating pinion. There's your hacking function, 4 hertz beat rate, that is 8 beats per second, flip it all over, 5 position adjusted, COSC chronometer certified, a very accurate watch to have been through the COSC timing as a movement, of course. 27 joules. It is clearly a adapted automatic. A lot of automatic systems that are decapitated, as I like to say, they look a little bit bald, so you can still see some of the original mating surface of the automatic winding system, but the advantage here is that it makes for a thinner watch. Well worth the trade-off since you will not be wearing it upside down. Breitling B01, the base caliber at the root of all of these, was not designed as a display caseback movement, but fortunately, as display casebacks have become more common on Breitling watches, it is a nicely sized movement, so it does fill the caseback in its entirety. 70-hour power reserve, manual wind. You can see the balance beating away at 4 hertz, and then we've got this unique eccentric screw ultra micrometric adjustment system alongside Edicron for timing adjustment and beat error correction. The finishing is mechanical, and it's neat, it's clean, but it's not a highlight of the watch. The highlight is the mechanical capability that this watch entails and the grace and enduring beauty of the packaging. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.